Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. This is Venus's Day, which is why I'm wearing white. And today we have a very special topic. I spent a lot of time on this. I did a little bit of a deep dive. So today is The Stars Warned Us, 2008's astrology in today's economic collapse and the changes that we're seeing. Now, before I get into today's presentation, I want to give you a little background on how Vedic astrology works. It's like a reflection of an undeniable past and an unfolding future that Jyotish practitioners like me are able to tap into. What has happened before repeats itself. This is a learning plane, and we're able to track that because smart people have recorded all of this information over thousands of years and hundreds and thousands of cycles. And so we're able to spot these patterns. Now, astrologers, we can anticipate the future by looking at the undeniable patterns that were recorded in the past. And so it's like having a third eye on the coming attractions, those upcoming scenes. And while you're having, let's say wine and snacks during intermission, we're reading what's to come. So if you don't want me to spoil the end of your life's drama and remain in blissful ignorance, do not watch this video. Do not schedule an appointment with me. Otherwise, fasten your seatbelts because this is likely to be a bit of a bumpy ride. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about, like I said, The Stars Warned Us, 2008's astrology, and today's economic collapse. And you'll want to stay tuned because I have another deep dive presentation that I'm doing on the United States Pluto return and what we can expect in the years to come, especially with the current people in power, etc. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Feel free to ask your questions throughout the chat. I am going to get them toward the end of the presentation. Okay, and it's lovely to see you all. So we're going to start with Saturn's transit. Now, in 2008, this was 2006 and 7. This is the before the storm indicators that we were looking at for this coming 2008 energy. So Saturn is known as Shani. He's the planet of karma, restrictions, discipline, and suffering. In Vedic astrology, he's a powerful indicator of societal structures, labor, and the economy. Now, on October 31st, 2006, Saturn went through the Cancer-Leo Gandanta. That's a spiritual knot. Cancer is a water sign that represents emotion, homeland, and security. And he entered the sign of authorities and kings. And then he entered the Gandanta again because of the retrograde on January 10th, 2007. And then again on July 15th, 2007, this time joining the South Node, Ketu, who causes eclipses, and he's the planet of attachment. So he causes those eclipses, and then they joined Venus, which is the planet of wealth. So we looked at this and went, whoa, something's coming, okay? And so then that retrograde motion, that created a lot of symbolic instability in leadership. Those are our kings, our CEOs, our high government officials. And that led to a lot of deep emotional insecurity when in the sign of Cancer. That's the masses, homeland, shelter, motherhood. That was linked to home foreclosures, housing insecurity, and the subprime mortgage crisis. Okay. Then let's get to a solar eclipse that then happened there in 2008. Now, this was on August 1st, 2008. Eclipses are traditionally considered times of chaos and karmic realignment. That's why you're still reeling from that one we had on March 29th. Now, this particular eclipse happened in Cancer, Pushya Nakshatra. That's directly tied to housing, homeland, and our public emotions. People with this in their charts tend to be caregivers, nurses, teachers for at-needs children, things like that. I happen to my son there, so I can relate to that. So this eclipse occurred in one of the most nurturing, auspicious nakshatras, symbolized by the udder of the cow, a sign of nourishment, caregiving, and protection. It's ruled by Brihaspati, also known as Jupiter, and Pushya represents wisdom, tradition, and a desire to serve and support others. It's closely tied to housing, homeland, and emotional security, as well as the well-being of the collective. So this eclipse destroyed anything related to home, homeland security, public sentiment, and issues of care and protection, both personal and a national level. Then right after that eclipse, we had a lunar eclipse. And this was on August 16th, 2008, and it occurred in Capricorn. Now, this eclipse was in Dhanishta Nakshatra, my moon. So this took place on my sun moon this year, and it was a big year for me. So it's known for its connection to wealth, rhythm, fame, and leadership. It's symbolized by the drum or the musical instrument. So Dhanishta carries the power of cosmic rhythm, of timing, enabling a lot of material success and the ability to use it to make a societal impact that's very positive. Now, Dhanishta is ruled by Mars, but when placed in the sign of Capricorn, he's influenced by Saturn. So this lunar eclipse brought forth a strong karmic focus on duty, structure, ambition, and public reputation. So this destroyed service to the collective with themes around career, authority, financial systems, and the balance between personal needs and public roles. Now, just to give you a little personal background here, I have Dhanishta Aquarius on the cusp of Shada Vishak. So this affected me personally with a Pushya sun and a Dhanishta moon. And what that did was I had a master's in teaching, and I was teaching in an at-needs district. We all lost our jobs. We weren't able to serve the collective in the way that we were. And these are the same people and communities that stepped forth and put these oligarchs in power. So they got rid of the teachers. They got rid of the people that were stepping in and holding the line for the more marginalized parts of society. And that's what allowed them to take power, because if you destroy education, if you destroy people's ability to access these modalities of thought and creativity, you can control them better. So that's 2008. Now let's get to the big events. These eclipses occurred just weeks before the major collapse in September of 2008. This was September 15th. This was the fall of the Lehman brothers. This planetary setup was a karmic trigger point in our global timeline. And I'm going to do a deeper dive into this chart further along in the presentation, so no worries about that. Now let's get to another indicator. This was when Jupiter went from his exaltation in Sagittarius and into debilitation in Capricorn. Now, Jupiter's the guru. He's the planet of wealth, of expansion. He moved from Sagittarius, where he's very powerful in his own sign, to Capricorn, his sign of debilitation, in December of 2008. Now, Sagittarius is also the ascendant of the United States, so this was the beginning of the fall. Now, he joined Rahu, Venus, and Neptune in Capricorn. And Capricorn is the second house of savings in the United States. Rahu is a very demonic energy. Venus represents wealth, and Neptune can bring a lot of fogging and confusion. So this was it was a big time for a lot of people. It was a transition from a very powerful position to a very weak one, and it was seen as a loss of financial optimism, trust in our systems, especially the middle class, because Jupiter was contracting his wealth, was contracting his power in this area. So Jupiter in Capricorn, he lacked the ability to expand and uplift, and instead he became overly cautious, very conservative, and misaligned. This was the perfect storm for a financial freeze. And then let's get to that Rahu Ketu axis. These guys are the ones who cause our eclipses. This happened on the Capricorn Cancer axis. So we always watch this axis for global shifts because Cancer is home and Capricorn is big business. So in 2008, Rahu, which represents illusion, obsessions, sudden changes, shifted from the Aquarius to the Capricorn sign. And Ketu, that's loss, detachment, and spiritualization, shifted from Leo, that's kings, oligarchs, to Cancer, that's home, mother. So Rahu and Capricorn, that's the sign of authority, government, and big business. So those corporations brought unrealistic ambitions and hidden manipulations in high-level institutions, while Ketu and Cancer indicated the loss of emotional grounding, housing, security, motherhood. And this axis was interpreted as a karmic unraveling of deep imbalances in our power structures, especially when it came to the middle class versus those corporate structures. So let's go ahead and look at a summary that I put together for you guys. First, we had that Saturn retrograde that happened between Cancer and Leo. That caused instability in housing and leadership, and that was in 2006 and 7. Then came in the eclipses, the August 1st eclipse in Cancer. That was emotional and housing insecurity. Then in comes the lunar eclipse. That was August 16th in Capricorn. That brought a crisis in business and enterprise. And that happened in the second house of savings and finances in the United States. Then we had Jupiter's move to debilitation in Capricorn. That brought that economic contraction instead of that beautiful expansion. And then we had the Rahu and Capricorn transit along with Ketu and Cancer. Those are the nodes. That created illusions in corporate dynamics, financial institutions, and an emotional detachment from home, real estate, and that security that we need to protect the middle class. So let's do a Vedic astrology comparison. I'm going to give you guys a side-by-side breakdown comparing the 2008 transits that I linked to the financial collapse and the current and upcoming 2025 transits. So you can see how history is repeating itself. It's eerie how some of these patterns are resurfacing now. So we always look at Shani for crash indicators. So I've got the 2008 crash indicators. I've got the 2025 transits in resonance, and then I've got the planets and the axis of the nodes that we can look at. So first, I talked about Saturn. He retrograded between Cancer, that's moon, mother, and Leo, that's sun and leadership, which created an unsettling event for emotional security and leadership. That's a Gandanta between water and fire. That really shook things up in 2008. Now we're moving into 2025. We have Saturn in Aquarius until March 29th when we had the eclipse energy. And then he moved into Pisces. That focuses on collective systems, the dissolution of old structures. Pisces brings endings. He's a water element. That's economic fluidity, a lot of insecurity. Now let's look at Jupiter. He's the guru. In 2008, he moved from Sagittarius, that is his own sign, and into Capricorn, where he's debilitated in December of 2008. That brought forth a great economic contraction. And then now in 2025, he's going to be entering Gemini in May. That is a sign ruled by Mercury. That's the planet of commerce and communication. So there's going to be an emphasis on tech, media, financial info, AI. So we can watch for misinformation and overexpansion, aka big brother trends, spying on the collective, getting a control of them, going after journalism, our news cycles, where we get our information. That's going to be a big shift, guys. Okay. Now let's look at Rahu in Capricorn. Remember how I said that axis between Capricorn and Cancer was big? That was the 2008 energy. That's corporations, governments, institutions. And then we had Ketu and Cancer. That's our emotional roots, issues with housing and security. Right before that, we had the Aquarius Leo axis. That's coming again, guys. So right now we have Rahu in Pisces, Ketu in Virgo until May of 2025. That indicates confusion in spirituality, finances, and our health systems. Then it switches to that Aquarian Leo axis. That was the coming of the collapse. That echoes the early 2008 themes of leadership versus the collective upheaval. Okay. Now, let's look at the eclipses, the coming eclipses. Now, I mentioned the eclipses in 2008. That was that solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. The solar was in Cancer, the lunar was in Capricorn. That attacked home and security, and that was eclipsed by corporate interests. Then let's move to March 2025. That's that lunar eclipse in Virgo that we had on the 14th. That attacked health, employment. It brought service economy disruptions. It brought spiritual and emotional overwhelm, especially the 29th one that we just had, the solar eclipse. Now let's move into the eclipses we can expect in September. We have a lunar eclipse that's going to hit that Leo Aquarian axis. That's going to bring more distorted leadership, collective turmoil, the rise of oligarchy over the collective. And then we have the solar eclipse on the 21st. That's going to be a partial eclipse on the Pisces Virgo axis again. That's related to service, health, and brings a lot of financial themes our way. Now let's look at Mars. Now Mars, the 2008 crash indicators there was a retrograde in Gemini. That was early 2008, and that brought a time of reevaluation. He then entered Leo from June to August with Saturn in Leo as well, so he joined Saturn there. This heated the economic situation between kings and the collective, okay? Now let's look at 2025. Mars is conjuncting Ketu in Leo on July 22nd. So that's going to bring a potential for conflicts in leadership and a complete detachment from the collective well-being. Not good. He's going to join Saturn again in 2026, and I'm going to go into that. And that's going to be in Pisces, which is going to be big. Now let's look at Mercury retrogrades. September 24th, 2008, we had a retrograde in Virgo. That's Mercury's sign. That brought a lot of confusion in finance and communication. In 2025, Mercury retrogrades in fire and water signs. That's that Gandanta energy. That includes a key retrograde in Cancer during July, which enters at Gandanta end of August. So Mercury is then going to join the eclipses when he enters Virgo in September 14th, which could pressure leadership, markets, and speculation-based assets. So just more yuck. Okay, guys? So let's look at some similarities. Is 2025 echoing 2008? One, there's some really karmic eclipses that we're experiencing, and it's in service and finance signs. And Virgo and Pisces versus Capricorn and Cancer. Those are those water and earth signs. Then we have that Rahu Ketu axis. They cause eclipses. That's aligning with that economic disruption and then entering Leo Aquarius. That's discord between leadership, those are the kings and the oligarchs, and the collective, that's the rest of us. Saturn is also transitioning signs. He's just went from Aquarius and into Pisces. That brings major systemic shifts. We can expect more of those. Then we have Jupiter moving into a Mercury-ruled sign. That can bring potential economic overreactions. And then we have a Mars-Saturn event. That was in July of 2008. And then a Mars-Ketu event, which is happening in July of 2025. These conjunctions are classic crisis builders. And they're both in Leo, which represent kings, oligarchs, a misuse of power. Now let's look at some differences. Jupiter is not debilitated in 2025, but he can behave erratically in Gemini, promoting misinformation that can send our markets in and out of turmoil. All right. Saturn in Pisces can bring soft collapses, dissolutions over time, rather than one big crash like we had in 2008. So this is like death by 1,000 cuts. This is the overall effect of the tariffs and the doing away of the crucial institutions leading to the end of the stock market as we know it. It's already being used illegally. So this is going to be a slow, systematic collapse, a slow death of our financial systems. And we will receive more clues after Jupiter moves into Gemini and the nodes shift in May of 2025. When Mars and Saturn conjoin in Pisces, that's a big event, guys. That's in April of 2026. This is close to the April 8th, 2024 eclipse degree. We can expect a full, unrestricted implementation of the statutes outlined in Project 2025. This is a crisis point. So you have time to reallocate, but that is a big date. That's a big event. Okay, so I promised you that we were going to go ahead and look at the Vedic chart of the Lehman collapse. So I'm going to show you that. Now, this happened September 15th, 2008. And we viewed this as planetary setup as a karmic trigger point in the global timeline. Now, Cancer there is tied to public security, housing, emotional well-being. It was activated by the solar eclipse in Pushya Nakshatra, directly affecting the emotional and domestic foundations of the collective. Capricorn was activated by the lunar eclipse in Dhanishta, representing governments, institution, finance, authority, structures, and long-term stability. while Rahu conjunct Neptune in Shravana Nakshatra brought illusions. Deception around financial institutions were at its peak. Shravana is symbolized by the ear, indicating listening, learning, communication. But under Rahu's influence, it can twist the truth and obscure transparency. This alignment in Capricorn signaled the unraveling of trusted systems. Rahu's conjunction with Neptune revealed an illusory foundation of the financial world, hidden debts, over-leveraged banks, and a misplaced trust in our institutions. Capricorn's collapse signified the crumbling of financial order, corporate distrust, and structural stability, hallmarks of our 2008 recession. At the same time, there was a powerful stellium in Virgo, you can see in the corner there. That was in Chitra Nakshatra. That's a nakshatra tied to construction, design, order. It highlighted a critical reevaluation of these systems, including how our resources are allocated and who controls them. With Venus, the planet of money there, Mars, the planet of action and aggression, and Mercury, which represents our commerce, all tightly packed there, that stellium we see. The energy was volatile and ripe for a rapid correction. Meanwhile, you can see Saturn and Sun in Leo. That symbolized a battle between authority, that's the oligarchy, and restriction, that's the collective. That's a clash of the ego and the limitations that were being put on the middle class. And then we have Jupiter and Pluto together in Sagittarius. That happened. That was in Mula. That's where Pluto was. And that emphasized a deep karmic uprooting. Mula Nakshatra deals with getting to the root of things, often through destruction. And Pluto magnifies transformation on a massive scale. So they were also with Gulika, that Shani shadow sun. And he added a malefic layer of hidden toxic karmic baggage rising to the surface in the chart of the United States. So Pluto is now activated in that first house of the United States. And that's the United States identity, image, path forward. That caused a crisis of national confidence and the beginning of a long-term shift toward the country's global standing. This is big stuff, guys. So let's look at what is ahead for us, because this is important. I think it's important that if we feel that we're reliving 2008, that we need to look ahead, okay? So no one can argue that 2008 didn't happen. It's on the record. Its effects are still being felt. Now get the popcorn out, because this is what's to come. Okay. Our sun this summer is going from Cancer to Leo. That's the Ashleisha Magga Gandanta. On September 21st, we're going to have a partial solar eclipse in Virgo with Rahu in Aquarius and Ketu in Leo. That's that karmic shakeup of service, health, finances. It's basically Rahu in Aquarius represents the, how do I say this? That represents the collective, and Ketu in Leo represents kings and leadership. Okay, and then we have Virgo, which represents health, service, finance, and then we have Capricorn, which represents our corporate structures, etc. So this is related to service, industries, financial restructuring, AI, digital sectors. Now, like I said, the Virgo and Pisces nodes are here, whereas in 2008, it was the Capricorn Cancer nodes, but they're both earth and water signs, and they're starting this how do I say this collapse again. Okay, now our moon, that's on September 7th. We have a lunar eclipse in the Aquarius Leo that's going to bring distorted information or non-action from leadership, unsettled events in the world collective. So we've got that Virgo Pisces axis when it comes to health, when it comes to service, when it comes to finance getting affected on September 21st. And on September 7th, it's the oligarchy versus the collective. This is the rise of the oligarchy. This is what we're going to start seeing. And the oligarchy is also going to be changing hands. There's going to be a new sheriff in town. So what happens after that? Mars is going to move through the Ashleisha Magga Gandanta and join Ketu, that's the south node who causes eclipses, in Leo in July. This mirrors the collapses that we saw in 2008. Only this time it's going to affect the oligarchs, which we're already seeing because Trump's already playing with them like a cat and a mouse. So then we have Mercury. Cancer retrograde starts July 17th, and 18th, depending on where you live. And then he's going to move into Gandanta. That's going to bring issues with the housing market and a lot of economic insecurity at that point. We're going to expect some issues there. In Gemini, it brings, let's talk about what Jupiter's going to be doing. He's going to move into Gemini. That's in May. So that's our communications, our news. That's going to bring a lot of digital disruptions. Mass surveillance begins. Expansion in volatile areas like tech and finance. We can expect a lot of economic expansion in unstable areas. Watch for bubbles, misinformation, really bad speculation, and big brother type tendencies to arise from this. Then we have Venus. Venus is going to be conjunct Uranus in Taurus. That's a tower or lightning moment to our material wealth, especially in the service sectors. And then we have Saturn. Saturn just moved into Pisces, and he's going to be conjoining Neptune in August of 2025. This is going to bring a battle between delusion and reality. So it's really important that you stay grounded right now moving forward. And then Rahu's moving into Aquarius. That's the collective, the third house in the United States. We can expect a lot of misinformation overload coming our way from our journalistic integrity is set to fall because they're going to try to get control of that. Then we have Ketu in Pisces. He's our south node. He's going to go conjunct Mars and Leo. That brings about the new oligarchy. And that's going to bring out some conflicts, some market reversals, some digital breakdowns, tension between leadership and the collective, because like I said, a new sheriff is coming to town. And we're already seeing the beginnings of that from the eclipses that we just experienced. So a lot of you were asking about, whose chart. I did a deep dive, y'all. I looked at his Varshapal. Trump is going to have an amazing summer in 2025. He is currently in Jupiter, Venus, Dasha. We looked at the Vimshatari. That's that little bottom graph there to find out who's in charge. And Venus will be transiting his 10th house of career until both Venus and Jupiter reside in a conjunction in his 11th house of profits and friends. This will be in late July into August in Gemini, where his natal Mercury resides. So he's going to make a ton of money through his various contacts, and he will do so completely illegally thanks to the eclipse energy. And he's an eclipse baby, so he is being fully supported by this dark energy. Let's look at his chart in 2026. This marks the start of Trump's gradual and slow fall from power because he's still seen as very useful in 2026. He will not see the efforts of his hard work despite a significant partnership with a new leader because Jupiter is going to move into his 12th house. So he's not going to be getting the best advice. And Venus will move into his second house. So at this stage, he'll be trying to keep as much of the profits that he stole in 2025 under protection. He's going to be all about his savings account and trying to protect it. Ketu will also be going over his ascendant. So this is the start of a health fall, okay? So I looked really deep into this. This is June 2026 into June 2027. This is his Varshapal, his annual chart. Toward the end of 2026 and into 2027, we will see the family structure start to collapse. We're talking about the Trump legacy. Melania will leave the scene of the crime and pursue a more philanthropic goal, as his tyranny will be even too much for her. She's going to join other billionaire wives. It's going to be like a club that they form. It's very interesting if you look at the stars. By June of 2027, this is after his birthday in 2027, into early 2028, he will enter another great year of looting and profits, but his health is really going to decline. His health is ruled by the sun. It goes into 16 out of 100. So that's when he's going to start to get ill. Okay. And then here comes 2028. Look at the sun. It's at 8 out of 100. What does that tell you health-wise? So by June 2028, his health is going to take a stark downfall. He will no longer be in power. The entire family will be in a tower moment, that lightning moment end. All that he's accomplished will come crumbling down. What's left of the family will try to escape, but they will not be successful because look at all those 8s. They're not going to be able to get out. This is the end and death of the Trump era and legacy. He will be replaced by the partnerships he makes in 2026, which will bring about a new world order of oligarchy and global tyranny. The divine feminine will particularly be under attack under these regimes, meaning no more moms, no more homes. They're going to be enslaved. 2029 marks the end of the United States and democracy as we know it. Okay, that's what this Varsha Pulse shows. Okay, so if you're still with me, I love you. Please don't freak out. I'm sharing this with you so that you can prepare. It's a lot. And I'm going to go into the Pluto return, and it's going to be members only. And I'm going to share more than what I shared during this presentation. Okay, so what does this look like? It's going to be a time of major contraction and expansion in areas that we're not really going to be supporting right now. Okay, I'm going to be talking about Pluto's return. What does that look like? This is a members only thing. I'm going to cover the collapse of the United States as a country. This is the United States cosmic reckoning. We're going to have to pay back all the karma from 1776 and 1530s. What happened then? I'm going to go into it. We had slavery, we had a genocide of the Native American peoples, etc. Okay, so that karmic collect is going to be due. So I'm going to be comparing the charts of the 1530s. That's when the Incan Empire collapsed to Francisco Pizarro in South America. I'm going to go into 1776. That is when our founding fathers signed the Declaration of Independence and seceded from European. Those are the Pluto return dates. Okay. I'm going to look into the Constitution dates, things like that. That's going to mark all of these Pluto return energies. Now, the United States started its Pluto return in 2020 to 2024. The peak was in 2022. That indicates a complete and total societal upheaval, which we are experiencing right now. And I'm going to help you all prepare for that. Okay, so if you want to join that, I give members workshops every Tuesday. I don't want you to miss the live of this Pluto return video. You can ask questions on how this affects you personally in your chart. My membership is only $4.99 a month. And the reason I'm doing this is to keep our conversations private. When I release this video to the public a week later, all of your personal information and our discussions will be edited out. This is our time to reflect and offer solutions to each other. So I ask, please do not miss out on this opportunity. I'm doing a deep dive just like I did today. Okay. Additionally, you can always schedule a private reading with me, as you can definitely get personal here. This is a powerful period of transformation, and understanding these astrological influences, you can navigate these energies with greater clarity and resilience. So go to astrologicaltarot.com for that individual reading so you can see how these transits are going to affect you personally. Again, that's more private if you're looking for that. And if you're not interested in any of that, at a very minimum, please like, please share, and please subscribe. Push that bell notification so you don't miss out on these astrological insights. I spend a lot of time and energy on these videos and on these deep dives. I go to multiple charts to find out what's coming, especially when I see major patterns coming up. And I am going to be on a schedule now because the construction is finally starting to let up a little bit. I am going to be on every Tuesday for members only videos. I'm going to be on Thursdays for collective videos, that's for the public, and then on Saturdays for weekend updates. So those 3 days you can see me on at 6:30 Pacific, 8:30 Central, and 9:30 Eastern. So tap in for live shows then. If you're interested in a more personal reading, definitely join my members only, guys. Again, like I said, it's only $4.99 a month. And I download your chart to my software and I go ahead and I give you those beautiful transits, help you be aware of what's to come. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I'm going to go ahead and say hello to a few of you in the chat. The lovely Jacqueline is here. It is lovely to see you. It's nice to wake up without a migraine today. Well, I am glad that you're not having a migraine today. You know, when the weather shifts, we get migraines as well, especially when you get those low pressure, high pressure transitions. So I'm right there with you, sweetie. It is lovely to see you, Risa. Thank you for joining us. It's lovely to see you, Madame Maru. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, Donna Marie. Welcome, welcome. And of course, the lovely Jonathan is here. He says hi. Hello. And yes, Cliff Notes. Yes, I spent a lot of time on this. You can tell by the different charts and presentation that I spent a few days on this. It's a big one, guys, so I want to prepare y'all. The lovely Rose Blue is here from Texas. Hey, good to see you. Hope the move is going well. Thanks for the updates on mom and dad. And let's see. Okay, Madame Maru says, Hershey and I were just talking about how July is going to be a tough month. It won't be for the oligarchs, let's just put it that way, but their comeuppance is going to come a little later. It's going to be interesting how that works out. And you guys can already see that they're playing around. And the horrors continue, but so do I. Yes, we got to keep going, and it's important that we are with each other as we go through some of these major shifts. And then Jacqueline says, I remember that year I was working for Disney Reservations. When they laid people off, it was frightening. Corporate came dressed in black suits. Everyone they tapped on the shoulder and pulled was gone. Isn't that an empathic way to fire people? So sweet. Sorry you went through that. And I love maps and pictures too. It helps us keep track of all the numbers and degrees and everything else. There's a ton of charts in Vedic astrology, Jacqueline. So whenever I start giving classes, you might want to do a deep dive with me. It's fun. And people were panicking and crying. I went through that in 2008. They laid off half of our teaching staff. I was nominated for Teacher of the Year and fired the same year. So yeah, that was very difficult for the middle class. And Hershey says, Grand Rising, Michelle and Jonathan, everyone in chat sending blessings and positive vibes. Thank you for joining us, Hershey. We appreciate your energy. And then Rose says, my brother called me on Wednesday. Dad has early Alzheimer's. I'm sorry, sweetie. I'll call him back tomorrow. Moving to help with mom housework. I don't need to pay service. My property is for sale. Got to move anyways. I'm glad your property's for sale because, again, eclipses are coming again. 2008's coming. For entertainment purposes only, but I mean, at this point, come on, y'all. We can see the writing on the wall. You don't have to be psychic at this point to see what's coming. And I'm not one of these toxic positivity people. I just see it how it is. It's not good. And we got to stick together and just see what's going on and prepare each other for it. So I appreciate you all for being here. The lovely Kelly, the mystic next door, is here. It's lovely to see you, Kelly. Thank you for joining us. And Jacqueline says, may love and light accompany on your journey, Rose. I love that. Be strong. Remember to be kind to yourself. Don't take the weird things they say personally. It's a disease of the brain. Absolutely correct. You are correct. And then Rose Blue says, so no stronger is in the house. I pay rent. This solves 3 problems. Less stress on all of us. Okay. I'm glad you're making those changes, Rose Blue. And my first job, Jacqueline, my first W-2 job, I should say, because I had jobs before that, was working in the Alzheimer's and dementia unit at a caregiving facility. And I actually moved into in-home hospice because the facilities overworked us to death. I started when I was 15 years old. And that was my first job because even though I came from a wealthy family, they did not support my sister and I. They treated us like cattle, like work mules. So in order for me to go to college, in order for me to really stand on my own, I had to get a job early. And I got to see how people were treated in some of these homes. They're very much all about profit and not about care. And it was a big wake-up call for me. So Jonathan, as you guys know, he's starting his struggle with cognitive collapse, and I'm here to help him. And I think it's because he just still has some good karma in his chart. So we're here to help each other. Make sure to take care of you. Yep, that's true, because caregiving can be very draining. And then please pray, my brother agrees. Okay, I'm glad you have a solution, and we are going to continue to pray for you, Rose Blue, and God bless you, sweetheart. And yes, it is very difficult, but also possible. Thank you for the encouragement, Jacqueline. And Rose Blue says, your mom and dad were married 52 years, 90 and 86 now. Congratulations. That is huge. And you're getting lots of hugs in the chat. And your bro already helps with his wife's father. Great family. We got to stick together as families during this time because a lot of those structures are going to be sucked out of the collective. A lot of the things we paid into. The lovely Peace Mama is here. Welcome, Peace Mama. Thank you for joining us. And yes, our hearts are with you. And your dad and your brother were in hospice. Wow. And there's going to be a lot of people that have to step in and help out as these times continue. And yeah. And let's see. And where do you go to change your name back? Okay, so you can go to the court and just do a quick name change there. Right now, you just basically go to the courthouse, you push a button, and you can change your name. Okay, Rose Blue? All right, that's what it was when I changed my name after my divorce. So, all right. And yes, you can download a form, take it to the courthouse, and then you file a fee, and then you pay the amount. Yep, that's right, Jacqueline. Yep. And the lovely Kim B joined us. We hope you watched the replay. It was a big presentation today, Kim B. And Jacqueline's trying to stay zen. I'm ready to riot. I'd rather not be in jail. Well, they've got the money, and they declare martial law. It's going to get pretty ugly. So it's important that you protect yourself moving forward. And Rose Blue says, I was a CNA in a nursing home for 2 years. We have that in common, Rose Blue. So my heart goes out to all of you as we go through these shifts. Big breaths. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a weekend update. I hope you join us. It's just going to be on the lunar cycles, what I'm seeing in the sky, a basic overview, answering some basic questions. I'm also really going to be hammering down on these memberships because I really want to go deep into what's coming. It's a lot, and I want to be able to create a space where you can share what you're doing personally on a much deeper level, especially as Jupiter enters Gemini, which is next month. So I think it's important that the more people who get memberships, again, I only get less than half of what they get, like 54% is how much YouTube takes. I'm doing this at $4.99 just so that I can keep the conversations private, edit them, and then release the video later. Okay, so that's why I'm putting this out there. And I hope that this was helpful. Know that I am holding you all in my heart. So is Jonathan. There he is. And that I will see you tomorrow, same time. We're going to go into a lot of the planetary transits coming our way. And please do not miss the Pluto return deep dive that I'm doing because I'm going into a lot of historical context and what's to come on Tuesday. So in the meantime, know that you are very much in our mantra practice and we're sending you all love. Om Shanti, Om Peace, Om Love.
Sacred knowledge from the stars. Vedic truth heals ancient scars. Mantras clear the karmic way, bringing light to guide each day. Let the planets show their signs as the cards and stars combine. Ancient wisdom flows through